said this to anyone, but I just felt I had to with you. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Oh, me, the poor guy. I guess he didn't deliver the line right, and we'll find out if it was a good one. And for the poor girl, well, look at the guy that was trying to pick her up. You've seen that happen 100 times. Boy meets girl, boys try to pick up girl, boy eventually picks up the cleaning bill. Well, my next guest is here tonight in honor of National Singles Week, which it is now. His name is John Eagan. He has a couple of college degrees. He's been a bartender for more than 23 years. But he is also the author of a book called How to Pick Up Beautiful Women in Nightclubs or Any Other Place. Now, before we move on to some of his research and best pickup lines and such, I should tell you ladies out there that Dr. Judy from Z100's Love Lines will be here next Wednesday with advice on dating. So remember, this show is not just for men. John, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
What gave you the idea to put together a book of pickup lines?
Well, I've been a bartender for over 20 years, and I've seen everything that's going on out there, and I really felt that today guys need help. It's a difficult situation today for a guy to go over and approach and start dating the woman of the 90s. There's a whole new set of rules out there in the 90s. What guys got away with in the 80s, and the 70s, and the 60s, the woman of the 90s won't even tolerate it.
Well, in the 70s, you didn't have to get away with anything. You just had to sit there, and they came over to you quite often. Yeah, oh, sure.
I don't remember that.
Well, then you were hidden behind the bar. You weren't out there where the real action was. What are some of the lines that worked in your experience 10 or 15 years ago that you should just forget about now?
Well, have you ever heard the expression, I can't handle the dating scene, or I can't take the bar scene now in the 90s? Well, on one hand, guys are saying women are being cold and snobbish to them, and on the other hand, they're giving the woman no alternative but to be cold and snobbish because of the way they approach them, because of the way they address them. Like this man, for instance, that was probably one of the worst things he could do. By saying something to a woman like, haven't I seen you someplace before? Well, she's heard this line 1,000 times. Her mother heard it. Her grandmother heard it. I could bet Wilma Flintstone heard that one 100,000 years ago. One of the questions I asked on the survey that I took was, what is the worst thing a man can say to you when he first approaches you? And of the 2,000 women I surveyed, among other things, the #1 answer for that question was these old lines. They're sick of hearing these old lines. Half of them are plain silly. The other half have a sexual connotation to them, which is the worst thing you could do when you first approach a woman, is to mention anything sexual to her. They are not out there to be the object of our sex drive. They are out there looking for relationships with men.
We have one of our viewers on the line right now. Hi, you're on Jersey's Talking. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Linda.
Hi, Linda. What was the best or the worst are you going to give us?
Well, I have to say that I want to know what the author proposes that men should say, because I've had men come up to me and say things that are terrible, like, oh, you have a nice rear end, and I can't believe that they say these kind of things, and it's horrible to me. I don't know what they're expecting me to be flattered or what. So what does the author think?
Well, before we get to that, what would you respond to? I mean, this is a perfect stranger walking up to you in a public place. What should he say?
Well, let me answer that for her. Can I?
Well, let me hear what Linda has to say, and then we'll get the expert's advice. What do you think, Linda?
Well, I'd like him to come up and say hello, something pleasant, something complimentary possibly, something nice, not anything with sexual connotations, something nice.
Okay. Now, what are some of the nice things? Thank you for calling, Linda. What are some of the nice things?
Okay, now let me try to explain this. One of the questions I asked on the survey that I took was, what is the best thing a man can say to you when he first approaches you that would make you feel good and want to respond to him? And of the 2,000 women that I surveyed, the #1 answer for that question was a sincere compliment. Remember, the operative word here is sincere. It takes women sometimes hours to get ready, and they made it plain to me that they expected a man to be intelligent enough to appreciate that fact. And at the times that men have approached him as a gentleman, and remember I said gentleman, and paid them a sincere
gentleman.
compliment.
We're working now, well, that eliminates 90% of the guys I've ever met.
They remember that. They never forgot that. And that's what I was trying to dig down to find out, so I could develop a system and a technique for men. So they knew that they were doing exactly the right thing when they approached women of the 90s. Now, a lot of women out there said, just come over here and say hi. Why can't you just do that, guys? But that's almost impossible for us guys to do, and we have a lot of anxiety and feeling for a woman. To walk up to her and say hi, Lee, we feel like, well, who's going to fill in the gaps after that? We might look foolish and stupid and be rejected by her, so there's no way that we're going to just walk up to a woman and say hi.
You've hit a nail on the head that I have thought about for a long time. Everybody talks about rejection. Men have had to deal with rejection since time immemorial, because men are supposed to be the aggressors. They're supposed to start the conversation. They're supposed to go over and say, hi, how are you, or whatever it is, something nice or whatever. And the woman will then either respond or not respond. So you're running the risk of being turned down No
Right.
matter what you do, whether it's nice, gentlemanly, sincere, or whatever, you can still get a cold shoulder, a snub, a turn down, or a glass of water in your kitchen.
That's true. So I try to develop a system so guys wouldn't have this rejection that they always have. But what it is you have to do everything that I tell you to do in the book has to be sincere, honest, and direct. The women of the 90s are more specific today. They're demanding sincerity, mutual respect, honesty, a gentleman, a man who's in touch with his feelings. This is the basic stuff that you have to know before you go over to approach a woman. And then if you could use the approaches that I have in my book, as a matter of fact, Men's Fitness magazine, which is a respected national publication, took my book and field tested the techniques of the book and gave it a #1 rating against all the other books on the market today. They said that basically by using these techniques, they got a phone number in a day from almost all the women that they approached.
Now what I want is the #1 good opening line.
Okay, well, we don't want to say line.
Just whatever it is, give it to me right now with no lead in, no lead out. Just
okay, a man sees a woman. Now, it's got to come from the heart.
I don't want to lead in. I want you to say it.
Okay. It has to come from the heart, sincere, honest, and direct.
Can't make this man say it. You afraid to ask me? I might reject you?
No, no.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Here we go.
If he sees a woman, say he sees her in a museum or down the shore or at a nightclub or something like that, he walks up to her as a gentleman. Excuse me, it's never easy meeting a complete stranger, especially one as lovely as you without being properly introduced. But shall we try anyway? My name is John, and you are?
My name is Judy.
Hi,
okay.
Judy.
No, that's very nice. I like that. Remember, you can give us a call at 1-888-NEWS12NJ. Tell us about your experiences, good or bad, when we come back. If you have a question or a criticism of John's recommended techniques, and we'll be right back after this.
Hello, I'm Andrea Giordano, here to invite you to New Jersey's largest job fair, the Superior Job Fair, Tuesday, September 24th at Mayfair Farms in West Orange. You'll meet hiring managers from 75 major companies. These managers are hiring for a full range of positions, from entry level where no experience is needed to professional level, including positions at several of New Jersey's high-tech firms. Look for our ad in Sunday Star Ledger employment section for complete details. Come to the Superior Job Fair on Tuesday, September 24th, and I'll see you there.
If you felt a bit removed from the Mercedes-Benz of your dreams, right now may be the ideal opportunity to see how David Michael Mercedes-Benz can bridge the gap. With a pre-owned Mercedes-Benz at an extremely attractive price, why settle for a lesser brand? Set your sights on David Michael in Freehold, aggressively seeking your business.
Within the imagination of a child, there are some things that have no place at all.
Things like abuse, neglect, and despair. Every day, more than 1,000 innocent children are removed from their homes. These are victims now who belong to no one. They sit silently waiting for the courts to decide their futures. They need your voice. Volunteer as a court-appointed special advocate and change one life at a time.
You know, I've never really said this to anyone before, but you have the most beautiful hair I've ever seen.
You got a problem, pal?
Well, hopefully most men would not make that particular mistake. We're talking about how to meet. Pickup is pejorative. Let's say meet beautiful women with an author of a book about that topic. And his name is?
John Eagan.
John Eagan. I want you to learn how to introduce yourself, John, because when you meet women. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
How'd you meet your wife?
I met my wife in a nightclub that I worked at.
What was the first line?
Well, she came in with her parents to have dinner. It was a dinner club first, and then later on turned into a music club. And I saw her, and I knew, well, I had to make my move, you know, because if you haste makes waste, and you know, if you see it, you have to go for it.
Yeah.
So she came in, and I sat her down for dinner with her parents, and I said to her, you know, you're beautiful. Can I take you out to dinner? I'd be honored to take you out to dinner sometime. And she said, okay, fine. And I bought him a lot of drinks, you know.
Yeah, just to cement the relationship. Okay. And it worked?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
10 years now.
Have you taken her out to dinner yet?
I haven't gotten to
I haven't gotten around to that yet. Now, it is a different ballgame now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, admittedly. And now you get past that first line. Whatever it is, you say it sincerely from the heart, as you suggested in the last segment. The woman responds, you sit down and you start to talk to her. What is she looking for?
Okay. You have to build a rapport with the woman. You have to pick common ground, safe territory, establish connections, understand similarities. There's a type of what I call a mental courtship that goes on right after that. Women expect men to think a certain way, creative, witty, intelligently, and men have to learn certain verbal communication skills so they can transfer important information to the female that you will take and evaluate. He has to convey that he is an individual that is ambitious, decisive, industrious, and she takes this information, decides whether this individual is going to rise to the top of his field someday. It gives her clues to his future. Women pick their most resourceful men. Now, Wilma Flintstone picked Fred because he could move boulders around and he was a hunter and he knew how to make fires, you know. So all women's preferences through evolution have now become instinct today. But for the man, it's not that much pressure. For the guy, it's simply this. If he has a job, and his job has a future to it, and he conveys the fact to her that he's the type of individual that's going to go after that future, that's the key. Well, that's one of the keys. That's not all of them. The book is over 250 pages.
Yeah, and we can't get to everything in the book in one segment, but as the book gets more popular, women will hear about it as well as men. Right. They will look at it, and they will say, oh, well, he's right here on page 151. I know exactly what he's going to say next. You can't be too rehearsed. You have to be a little...
oh, yes, of course. Yeah. You do want to be that. But you have to remember that to be sincere, honest, and direct, and you have to be a gentleman, too. You know, that's the way you approach a woman.
Key word there is honest. How does somebody know at first meeting, or even second or third meeting, that everything that this guy has told her is true? Well, maybe he doesn't have that good a job. Maybe he's not going to get that great promotion. Maybe that car he says in the shop doesn't even exist. I mean, those things are all possible. And the same thing is true on the other side of the coin. The woman might not be a top model. She might not be whatever she says she is. In other words, people are inclined to make up someone they think the other person will like. Well, now you get down to brass tacks, and all of a sudden, if you're not that person, a whole lot of time has been wasted, and a whole lot of dreams have been shattered.
Well, women are not that concerned about what you have right now. They think in terms of the future. We think we have to have it all right now to impress the woman. You know, I have to have the money, the car, the job now. But they don't think now. They're not worried now. They think in terms of the future. As long as your job has a future to it, they're smart that way. And they're not worried right now. Like we think we have to have the power, the money, the muscles, everything to attract her. We don't have to have that. They did a study once. Can I tell you about a study they did? They took a room full of men, and they asked women, pick out the men that you feel attracted to. And they did. Now they had the woman actually meet the men. And they said to them, now pick out the men who you feel attracted to. And they picked out a completely different set of guys this time. They picked out average guys like me who were honest. Honest, altruistic. What I mean by altruistic is not being, they looked into their eyes and got in touch with their well-being. This is what turned the woman of the 90s on. And the good-looking guys who they picked originally, if they were self-centered or full of themselves, they turned them off. So an average guy could be very attractive to the woman of the 90s once he learns certain personality attributes, and he assimilates them into his personality, not just to meet girls, but keep them in there, you know, friendly, nice personality, honest, altruistic, that sort of thing turns women on. Average guys can be very attractive to women that way.
Okay, we've heard all of that, John, and everybody has paid attention, as I have too. It's 1996. Yes. Did we get a kiss at the end of the first date?
Of course.
Oh, okay. We have some information we want to pass along, how to get in touch. We also have How to Pick Up Women by John Eagan, that's Eagan Publishing, and 804 Secrets. Right. We also have linked up to your website on our website, so we will give people our website a little bit later in the program. And all they got to do is ask for Eagan, and they will be linked up to your website.
I appreciate that.
I don't understand any of that website stuff, folks. I'm still having trouble with the fact that my telephone exchange doesn't have a name anymore, just a number. I used to be Trafalgar. I like that a lot. Now I'm 7-8. It's John, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
We're going to take a little break, and coming up on Jersey's Talking, we will meet the star of a one-woman show that's going on in New York City. So you stay right where you are.